Hello and welcome to Biology Lecture number 3. Here we will be talking about cells and their structure. The first cell to the left of the page is a prokaryote cell. As you can see, it is quite simple. It doesn't have a well-defined nuclear membrane where genetic material is stored. It swims around freely inside the cytoplasm, that is this liquid, blue liquid inside the cell. Of course, not all prokaryotic cells have blue liquids. This is just a general picture. And it is far more simpler and in fact doesn't have a lot of the organelles that this eukaryotic cell towards the right does. We humans consist of these complicated eukaryotic cells. As you can see, the genetic information is stored inside this nucleus in the center with a nuclear membrane. There's mitochondria here, these little organelles that produce energy, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, so on and so forth. So let's write this down. So this cell is prokaryote. Just correct the Y here. And this cell is eukaryote. As you can see, there are substantial differences. The eukaryotic cell is far more complicated, and therefore that is why much larger and complicated organisms are made up of these cells. While the prokaryote, you can see, is displayed here as a single cellular organism, that is, an organism that consists of only one cell. And in order to move around, it has this tail, which we call the flagella, and cilia, which are these hairs which allow it to probe its environment to move around. While the eukaryotic cell has in fact got all these little structures on the surface of the membrane. They're like little receptors. They allow for the cell to feel its way around its neighbors and the environment and respond to changes in the environment. So let's list some of the differences that are present between the cells. So we'll just grab a line and divide everything. So just move down further. Move this down. Okay, so we can start now. Well, one of the major differences between these cells is, of course, their size. The first most important thing is that the prokaryotes, better select a pencil again, bear with me for one moment, I'm having technical difficulties. Just erase that. Okay, so now we grab a pencil, and basically the first thing that you'll notice is the scale is small of this small scale, which is approximately 1 to 10 micrometers, while the eukaryotic cell is approximately 10 times larger, so it's quite large in comparison to the prokaryote. Large scale, so approximately 10 to 100 micrometers. What we notice is that the ribosomes here inside the prokaryotic cell, in comparison to the ribosomes in the eukaryotic cell, are quite small, in fact. Very small. So we'll just write that down. And we'll return later to discuss what exactly each organelle is and what it does. Just these are a few points to remember. So small ribosomes. Just ribosomes. Well, the eukaryotic cell has large ribosomes. By the way, just to reiterate, I just borrowed these pictures from online, and if you're looking for good diagrams to look at, that is cellular diagrams, the internet is a great resource. I'm not trying to infringe any copyright for anyone who has any concerns. I'm just borrowing these pictures to illustrate what I'm talking about. Glad we got that out of the way. So now, one of the other important things is that the genetic material not enclosed in the membrane in the prokaryote, as I mentioned earlier. Genetic material. So it doesn't have a nucleus, is what I'm trying to get at. Material not enclosed in a membrane. Well, the eukaryotic cell has DNA divided into lengths, that is chromosomes, and combined with histones to form chromatin. So that's part D. Forgot to mention part C, that it does have, in fact, a membrane bound genes. Anyway, so for part D, DNA in chromosomes, what else? Also, it's combined with histones to form chromatin. While in the prokaryotic cell, DNA is not associated with histones. No. That does make it very clear. Let's erase that. Anyway, as I was saying, not associated with histones. One other important aspect of the prokaryote cell is that all its organelles are not membrane bound, unlike the eukaryotic cell. So organelles, that is tiny little organs that provide specific functions to the cell, are not membrane bound. Not membrane bound. While eukaryotic organelles are membrane bound. Membrane bound organelles.